Mm. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about South and North Korea, their biggest differences, and how one country, became so different these days. So let's start. My name is Ayjana, and I will be representing North Korea, and my colleague is.
My name is Saera, and I'm gonna present South Korea. So I'm gonna be Kim Hae-kyung in this presentation. This is the First Lady of the Republic of Korea since June 4, 2025.
Yes, please start, Sayora.
So first of all, let's talk about main points of South Korea. So you can see that. You see that nowadays South Korea is one of Asia's leading economies. The capital of South Korea is Seoul. There are about 10 million people living there. Population of South Korea is 51 million. You can see the area, you can see the GDP nominal is $1.7 trillion and GDP per capita is $33,000. Our leader is president and ideology of South Korea is democracy. It means that we are choosing our president. You can see also our military, it is advanced and it is allies with the USA. Internet access is open and high-tech society. Our main allies is the USA and Japan.
Mhm. Thank you, Sayora. So what about North Korea? That we have 26 millions of people in our country, and our territory is a little bigger than South Korea, and our GDP is 33 times less than South Korea in comparison. And we have a total dictatorship, which means that the power is held only in one family, and it's going from one family to the same family from son to son. And today, our, let's say, president is Kim Jong-un. And as South Korea, we have our alliances, and our first main ally is Russia and China, because we have borders with them. And also, yes, we have large nuclear power, which is the main industry in our country.
So now let's go to our common history and division of Korea. So you can see that at the beginning, North Korea and South Korea was one country, but after Second World War, it was divided, and the South Korea, my country, was controlled by the United States after 1945, and we have anti-communist government in comparison to the North Korea. You can see that there is communist government. Also, we are supported by the USA, and we defended against North Korean invasion and claims to represent all Korea.
Mhm. And once before 1945, North and South Korea was one country. But after Cold War, as you know, communistic ideology against capitalistic one, so North Korea was had borders with Russia and China, as you know. In that moment, both of them had ideology of communism. So it was controlled by Soviet Union after 1945, and communistic government led by Kim Second Sung, supported by China, USSR during the war, and invaded South Korea in 1950. Yeah.
So now let's move on to the political systems. So you can see that my state, South Korea, there is a democratic system. It means that as I said before, it means that we are choosing our leader. So power is chosen by the people. This is the main point, the main ideology of our country. We have freedom. Also, we have multi-party elections.
Mhm. And after Cold War, the influence from Russia and China was so huge that we became a closed communistic country, authoritarian regime, one-party system, and right now is led by Kim Jong-un.
Okay, now we are coming to the ideology. So, first of all, I would like to read that ideology influences political systems, economic choices, and citizens' daily lives. So, South Korea, a liberal democracy, emphasis on individual rights and freedoms. You can see that South is about capitalism and North is about communism.
Mhm. Um, so North Korea, repeating that again, still is one of the strongest countries that has the influence from communism, and right now it's still communistic country, and it is strongly controlled by the Jewish ideology, which means self-reliance.
Mhm. Now, economy. So I would like, it's really interesting to talk about South Korea's economy because it increased rapidly. Economic systems state-led market capitalism. So first of all, let's look at the GDP of South Korea. Nominal GDP is about $1.7 trillion. And in comparison to North Korea, you can see that there is a big difference. Also, GDP per capita is $33,000. In global trade, we are in the top 10 global exporter. Our key industries, it is semiconductors, um, tech, culture. Also, we have Chabolet growth that I would like to speak later. So now we are going to North Korea.
Mhm. North Korea, as you know, is led, and all powers and all the things in the country is controlled by the government. And here, um, the economy is centralized, and state controls all means of production, and the government sets priorities and emphasis in economic development. In the internet, you will not find exact information about their economy because it's hidden and they are not sharing information. But the approximate one is that GDP per capita is 1,800. And their main thing still is trade on military products like machine building, electric power, chemicals, and mining. And don't think that it's so closed and it's not trading with anyone. Still, North Korea, as usual, as other countries, is dependent on China. And by that, I mean they have still a real international relations, and um, they're trading with China also.
Okay, now let's talk about trend of the South Korea. So as I said before, the chaebol system. So this slide is also connected to the economy. And first of all, you can see the industrial giants, the chaebol system. It is consists of Samsung. It consists of Hyundai and Kia and LG. You know, Samsung, LG, the global leader in semiconductors. We use their phones, their electronics, and Hyundai and Kia. These cars are everywhere. These electric vehicles, they pioneers in electric vehicles and in smart mobility. So, second one, I would like to speak about economy that connected to the people, to the culture of South Korea. Soft power, we are calling, but in the Korean, it will be the Hallyu wave. So you can see the main point. This the K-pop and culture. You know, the popular groups like BTS and Blackpink, they are dominating now everywhere. It is not just about music in South Korea, it is also about massive economic drivers. Um, they are really, really improving our economy just by using their soft powers without any inventing semiconductors as Chebo system is doing right now. Also, the second point of soft power of the Hallyu wave, it is K-drama and films. You know the film Parasites. That this was the first movie that win the Oscar, and also you know the Squid Game. So the Parasite and Squid Game defines Oscar as a global cultural trendsetter. You can see that this is not just about inventing something like the Chebol system is doing, also about soft power, the just K-pop and culture, some K-dramas helping to grow our economy.
Mhm. So strengths in North Korea. In comparison to South Korea, we don't have developed soft power. We're not in this industry, but I want to emphasize two things that relatively are strong in North Korea. And first one is obviously military power and deterrence. One of the largest standing armies in the world, possession of nuclear weapons, creating strong deterrence. North Korea uses military strength as a security guarantee. And the second one is natural resources. North Korea is relatively rich in coal, iron ore, rare earth elements, and other minerals. This is all said is being told in comparison to our neighbor is South Korea.
Okay, now let's talk about structural challenges. So, however, like despite its many strengths, South Korea also faces several serious structural challenges. So one major issue is the not enough babies. It means low birth rate. So South Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world, and which can lead to a shrinking population and economic problems in the future. So this problem is really, really important in our country. It is connected to our economy, to our demography. So another challenge, it is about social inequality, rich versus poor. Even though the country is very rich, there is still a noticeable gap between the rich and the poor, which creates tension in society. As you know, they are. They think that the career is more important than family, so it is also connected to the one to the first point and to the second point also. So in addition, there is a political polarization. Society is divided between different political groups, and this often makes decision making difficult and slows down reforms. And finally, South Korea lacks natural energy resources like oil and gas. This means it depends heavily on imports. So global price changes can directly affect its economy.
Mhm. And from the North Korea, it's completely different from South Korea because we have completely different ideologies, and our country is not struggling with having babies because if the trend in South Korea is to minus or zero, we have plus one or plus two. So in comparison, it's not a problem for us. So the thing we have issues in North Korea is that because the power controls everything, the government controls everything, people are lacking the right to speak, right to rights to make movements against something because they're afraid. And second one, of course, because there is lack of, competition, lack of governmental support. They're having problems with fields like education as well as health.